Title of the story is, Am I the Astronaut for Wanting to Quit My Job? For context, I work in a small public CPA office, and when I started there, I was on the administrative side. I thrived with all the tasks that were handed to me, so well that, along with my admin side, they had eventually given me accounts receivable and HR duties without a pay raise. One day, an accountant had to leave for maternity leave, so I ended up taking on her accounting and payroll responsibilities, again without a pay raise. No complaints from me at the time, as I wanted to learn accounting and payroll to be able to help move up in the small company. However, over time I learned my direct supervisor was not the best teacher. I had to learn everything on my own through trial and error. Eventually, the accountant came back from maternity leave, and that's when everything changed. They moved her to my admin position and moved me into a new position they called special projects, but gave me a raise. This was essentially supposed to take the admin, accounting, and payroll side of things away from me so I could focus on the random projects for each of the 4 managers. Knowing how they blindsided the other accountant when she came back, we both agreed to secretly fill out a spreadsheet of our own tasks in case management ever started having a problem with us. Lo and behold, management started nitpicking at me first. The first meeting was with the owner. She came into my office and started berating me about a rumor she heard that wasn't even true. All of my coworkers could easily hear her, as she didn't bother taking it to a meeting room or even come to me in a calm manner to question the rumor. Before I knew what the issue was, I froze in my responses. For context, she heard I was complaining about a cabinet in my office that never got moved before I had to move in. In reality, I had made a joke to a coworker who came into my office that morning and asked about the cabinet and why it was still there. I simply joked back, "Didn't you hear? Only this side of the office is mine." Joking is part of my personality, but sometimes coworkers don't realize that, and rumors got around that I was complaining. That day I left crying and called out the next day with a stress migraine. Since then, I've had some flashback trauma from the past narcissist in my life, and I've been doing my best to heal from the new trauma she had just given me. As much as I wanted to quit after that, I stayed and hoped for the best. I laid low and got my work done. We eventually hired an accountant who was supposed to take my payrolls and accounting duties from me. She ended up quitting within a week due to a lack of training, no surprise, so I had to keep my payroll and accounting after all. Then they decided to hire 2 junior accountants since the staff accountant positions were not working out. This was to help the 2 senior accountants, meaning I am to keep my payroll and accounting duties even though I wasn't supposed to after W-2 season was over. About 2 weeks later, the founder pulled me into a private meeting and asked me why I seemed to be frustrated lately. I told him I was upset that the junior accountant role was not offered to me or the other girl, and that they basically set us up for failure. I expressed how learning under the senior accountants would have been very beneficial. I also let him know that I was overwhelmed with workload, as I still have all of my old job duties as well as my new ones on top of that. I said once these old duties are relieved from me, it would be less stressful. Nothing really came out of that meeting. Fast forward to yesterday. 3 of the 4 managers pulled me into an impromptu meeting. I thought it was about invoicing, as they've expressed their interest in me taking over for the tax side of things. Boy, was I wrong. They started off by talking about budgets and ended up with how I don't meet what's budgeted for me. They said my hours don't match my pay rate and that I'm taking too long to do the tasks assigned to me. They mentioned how they don't micromanage and how there's miscommunication on my end. I suggested they take a look at my daily task list that I've been filling out in case this meeting were to happen. They laughed and said they didn't want to see it. However, they would like for me to continue filling it out and add the time frame it takes to get each job done. They came at me with every little problem they could think of. I mentioned how I was doing my best, and the owner snapped back, "You're not though. I've seen your best and this isn't it." I just nodded. This got to the point where I asked if this was one of the 3 meetings to fire me. They laughed again and said, "No, we'd have you sign something stating that you attended that meeting." I don't believe them one bit. I left early crying and called in for a mental health day today. It's almost the weekend now, and I wrote 2 very lengthy letters to them. One is my resignation, and the other is constructive feedback I have for them. I want to gather my things on Monday morning and leave those 3 of the 4 managers each a letter. So I guess the question is, am I valid in the way I want to respond, or am I overthinking all of this? Okay, so the question, am I the astronaut for wanting to quit my job? First of all, you can never be the asshole for feeling something, and wanting is a feeling, right? So just accept that right now. Whatever feelings you have, you're not an asshole for feeling them. It's what you do with them, how you process them, where you go with it. And last night I actually came up with this graphic. I need to post it. I'll post it on Insta. Came up with this graphic to really say, ask yourself, does this decision bring me closer to my goals or further away from them? That's the fork in the road that we have to ask ourselves for every single decision that we make. And I think you have to ask yourself what your real goal is here. And if your current position, if staying where you are is going to bring you closer to them, it doesn't sound like it's going to. If you have a goal of learning and developing and working your way up a firm, it doesn't sound like the structure of what's going on where you are right now is going to facilitate that. It is not going to happen, not because of the business, but because of the leaders here. But this is a failure of leadership, right? This is one of those situations where when you brought up a problem to the founder of the business, what probably happened was that founder communicated that frustration and a problem that needed fixing to these managers. The managers got butthurt because to them, you just went over their heads, even though the founder came in and prompted you to have this conversation, right? Spilling your guts to them probably means that you went behind their back and they feel like they got in trouble now. So it's retribution at this point, that they're just trying to run you into the ground for it. And I think you have to look at the dynamic of where you are and really ask yourself, is this role going to bring me closer to my goals? Is this going to enrich my life, or is it moving me further away every day from where I want to be? And it sounds like you're miserable where you are right now. Even though you're working in the field that you want to be in, you're miserable, and you get a little more miserable every day. That's not the kind of environment that is going to move you closer to your goals. If anything, it's going to bring about some level of resentment for the field that you thought you loved and you wanted to get better in, and that's not where you want to be. So that fork in the road, if you stay where you are, you're going to be moving further and further away from your real goal every day. You're going to hate what you think you could potentially love and what you want to get better at. I don't know what your market looks like, if there are other small firms that you could look at applying to. I would explore other opportunities and see what's available for you there. But look at it this way. Even if you end up having to do something different for a while, something unrelated, as long as it is a zero effect on your psyche and on your life, zero is better. Zero is greater than -1. Right now, what you're doing has a negative effect on your life and on your future. You've got some shite non-leader leaders there. You've got bosses. There's a difference between a boss and a leader. You've got bosses there, not leaders. And that sucks. Not everybody is born to lead. That's 100% true. The fact that you had to ask this question, though, I think says everything that you need to say. Now, as it relates to how you exit, grain of salt here, realize that right now those managers are butthurt, and any kind of constructive criticism that you tried to leave behind is going to get laughed at. They are not going to take it seriously. They are not going to, it's going to be a time investment for you that is not going to be worthy. Now, if the founder actually was genuinely concerned and actually listened to your concerns and was really trying to fix things here, I might leave some constructive criticism for the founder, not criticism of the founder, but criticism of the company and of the managers. I might leave that there because that's the one person who actually has the power to do some stuff for it, who actually has the power to do something about it.